if you're doing a project like this, like epic, old story, you know what's going to happen when you decide to go and cast these people. Don't get mad at the audience for having a negative response when you're going to go and cast these types of people in a movie that has nothing to do with us. I'm just being honest. It's just the same way if I use an example of a project that is a African mythical story, and then there's a tribal white guy in the movie. Yeah. It's like, why is he there? It just doesn't make any sense. So if the studios are going to be getting angry and being like, oh, it's just a bunch of loser incels that are only mad about this, I think that's crazy to do to the audience, where we just want to see a good project. It's the same thing with like how we always talk about Sonic. Were we a bunch of incel losers when we were saying Sonic looks freaking weird with real teeth? One of the most anticipated movies of the year, Odyssey, just came out.
Yes, sir.
And so did the reviews, bruh. And I'm gonna be honest, they're a little mixed.
Yeah.
So let's get into ours, bro. I personally, look, I just want to start with some of the bad. I think I have more good than bad, but I want to get into the bad, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, with this movie, bro, I had a thing of, there was a lot of parts that kind of bored me. And I could be in the minority, but man, there were certain scenes I just felt that kind of dragged on a little bit. And like I said, I personally just am not too much of a fan of all the diplomatic stuff and, you know, too much of the battles of kingdoms and stuff like that. That's why I never was too much of a fan of Game of Thrones as well. Yeah. So that's just a nitpick for me. Also, I really just was confused with some of the people. And this was a thing of a lot of people were complaining about the casting. I do understand why, because it's very controversial. It's in your face. It's shocking. It's shocking to see. You're hearing a movie about all these people that are Greeks, and you're seeing all these other people that are clearly not Greeks.
Yeah.
Right? And for the movie, it was good. I'm gonna just say that ahead of time. But dude, the characters, I just didn't like certain scenes. Like, for instance, this one scene with this Indian actor, I don't remember his name, the father that was in Welcome to Derry, and they were talking to this character, and they told him, they said, we're Greeks from Ithaca. And it just threw me off a little bit when I just saw that on screen, because I was like, dude, it's this Indian and black dude telling this guy that they're Greeks from Ithaca, and it's just so unbelievable for me, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, that's just, I immediately was just kind of like, ugh, when I seen that. So I don't know. You can tell me.
I get what you mean. Sometimes some of the casting was kind of like a little bit like, I don't want to say they were out of place, but it definitely felt like they didn't belong in this world. Like John Bernthal's character, for me, for example, like he just straight up talks like he's in every one of his other, like The Walking Dead and Punisher.
I was gonna say, I'm surprised he didn't say, let me tell you something.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't say, let me tell you something. But like my main thing is that, you know, for these characters they're supposed to be in this, from this other part of the world, and this, you know, this world that's like magic and all this stuff or whatever. So it is kind of crazy to be like, oh well, it's wild that like these guys have different skin colors, but like, you know, Cyclopses and all this stuff is like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? But like the thing is, it's like my whole thing is like, they all just speak with like American accents and everything. Like no one tries to put on a little bit of an accent or like where they're from and everything, you know? Yeah. That's one of the only things that kind of bothered me a little bit. Like, you know, like we have actors like, you know, Robert Pattinson and, you know, Tom Holland, who are, you know, British actors, but they speak with American accents in this movie. So it's like, if we could get these guys to speak with American accents, why can't we just get everyone to speak with like some type of Greek accent or something like that sounds like similar to
just old-timey speaking,
you know what I'm saying?
You know?
Like Shakespearean
you
know
know
what I mean? Like, but the thing is though, would that make the movie kind of harder to watch if everyone's talking with like thou shalt not, like Thor in the first movie and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying?
No, I get that, but I think it's a thing of, if I'm going into a movie to watch a Greek epic, I mean, dude, I think I'm getting, you know, I'm going in knowing that it could potentially be those type of films. You know what I mean? Because even with that new werewolf movie that's coming out, dude, they said they're going to be speaking all like that.
Yeah, even
Old
Nosferatu, like,
you know?
they
don't try to hold back at all, dog.
At all,
And I think that it almost really engulfs you in the world, because like you said with a Nosferatu, you feel like you're in freaking 1438 or whatever. You know what I mean? Just the sets and everything. And that's another thing with this movie I'll get into later with the positives, but Yeah, man, I don't know about that. Like, I understand what you're saying about the whole thing of, there's all these mythical things and whatnot. And obviously, my bigger issue is the dialogue, like, or not the dialogue, but the way they speak.
That was more of an
It
issue
was
for
it was
me.
definitely more of an issue, but I just think about it like this. Yes, that's true that this is a world where there's cyclopses and gods and whatever, but I still think that there are regions of people where it's like there will be an overwhelming thing of this group of people. Obviously, yeah, it's cool if, you might have some outliers in a place. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you go to Mexico, you might see some freaking Chinese guy out there or whatever, even now, right? But the way I look at it, though, is just, dude, there was just no trying of an explanation for it, though. It's just kind of like, what is that explanation, honestly?
Just there.
They're just there.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like,
They just live there.
you look at, like, when there's that beginning scene with Travis Scott, and I was going to get into that as well, of just some of the casting. What is going on? You're seeing this room with all these guys, the suitors, right? And it's like, there's this Asian dude, there's this whatever, yada, yada. And I'm wondering, like, okay, so are all these guys from different lands? Is that what this is?
I think that's what it is.
If that's what it was, that makes perfect freaking sense.
That's what it is. Because remember,
right?
their whole thing was like, Tom Holland was like, they'll all go back to where they came from.
Yeah.
I think they all come from
Different lands.
Yeah, areas. And they're trying to take over Ithaca. That's what I got from that.
If that's what it is, that's perfect, right?
Yeah.
But if it's not, that's a problem. And then even what I said with Travis Scott, I just felt like that was just a Gen Z insert where it was just like, maybe somebody told Christopher Nolan, like, hey, maybe you should do what Marlon Wayans is doing and get a Kai Cenat type of a cameo. That's what it felt like, because I was like, dude, they could have just gotten an old man or some other guy to play this character, because Travis Scott didn't do anything in the movie, to be honest with you. It was just kind of like, you could have just got another guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it could have been anybody.
That's my
to
point,
do
yeah.
Travis Scott's role, and I think like even like when he shows up, it's like, oh, when I first seen him, I was like, oh damn, there's Travis Scott. I forgot that he was in this movie, to be honest with you. But like a lot of the selling point for this movie is the big cast that they have, the big ensemble cast that they have for this movie. They got like Matt Damon and Tom Holland and
Hathaway,
Robert Pattinson. They have all these big actors in this movie, and it just seems like that's one of the main reasons why people even want to go watch the movie, is because there's so much people in it. And I get what you're saying. There was like, would that take away from, maybe that could have been another person playing Travis Scott's role, and maybe that guy probably could have done it better.
Come on.
If you got like a real actor to play that role, like it could have went. Maybe it could have made the scene a little bit better with him, or like not that saying that he was bad in the movie or like that, but his role was such a nothing role. It could have been given to a real actor who wouldn't work.
Thank you, bro.
Like Travis Scott doesn't need this job.
Thank you. He's already a multi-millionaire.
Yeah,
They could have.
yeah.
You get the point I'm making. That's exactly all
Definitely.
I'm saying, bro. So yeah, I think that it was just certain things like that bothered me more than anything. But besides that, bro, I thought the movie was pretty damn solid. Like I said, a lot of the backlash that it was getting online before the movie even dropped, I said it was. I understood both sides. I understand the side of, people are seeing this firsthand and they're going, oh, we're getting another Black Snape. That's basically what they're doing again, or it's going to destroy the whole story and whatever, and it's going to change all these other factors that play into this character, But I'm going to be honest with you, it didn't really do too much to the story.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Like a lot of the controversy that this movie was getting, like leading up to it, whether it's from the cast or the production designs or the costume designs, or even like having to watch this movie in IMAX 70 millimeter or whatever. It's like, I think a lot of the hate and controversy that this movie was getting was blown way out of proportion.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
100%.
From what I think, like from all the craziness that people were going with, like, oh, Ellen Page is gonna play Achilles and all this stuff, and people were thinking like this is gonna ruin this movie and everything. From what we actually end up seeing in the movie, it's like, okay, you guys are literally just trying to just stir up a bunch of BS about this.
You were just straight up wrong. That's what it is.
You were straight up just wrong, yeah.
Yeah, but I get what you mean, though. Definitely, and I just said, it's just one of those things that I think the studios need to also understand, because I don't like whenever they do the whole, like, Rachel Zegler or whatever, any of these people, where they go out and say something so just asinine for no reason, and they're almost like talking shit about the fans or the project that they're a part of. And there was a lot of those type of situations that was going on with some of the actors and whatnot, but that's here nor there. But it was just the fact that, like, if you're doing a project like this, like, this epic old story, and you know what's gonna happen when you decide to go and cast these people, don't get mad at the audience for having a negative response when you're gonna go and cast these types of people in a movie that has nothing to do with us. I'm just being honest. It's just the same way if I use an example of a project that is a African mythical story. and then there's a tribal white guy in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like, why is he there? It just doesn't make any sense. So that's the thing that I just go like, if the studios are going to be getting angry and being like, oh, it's just a bunch of loser incels that are only mad about this, I think that's crazy to do to the audience, where we just want to see a good project. It's the same thing with like how we always talk about Sonic. Or were we a bunch of incel losers when we were saying Sonic looks freaking weird with real teeth? Like, no, it's just that we just thought it looked weird and we just wanted to see Sonic, you know?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So that's just how I look at it. But I just want to get into some of the positives of this movie, because I have a hell of a lot more of those than the negatives, to be honest with you. To start off, I really liked the action adventure aspect of this. This really was like peak fantasy to me, bro.
Definitely.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I liked the world building, the way that you would go to all these different places, and it felt so mythical to me. Like, you know, when they first go and meet Polyphemus, you know, the Cyclops, and they go into the cave. Bro, the opening scene when he first shows up is so scary, because all you see is this giant rock at the end of the cave lift up and closes the cave, and it's complete darkness on the end of it, so you don't even know what is over there. I loved that
and
scene.
you see his legs just kind of like walking over them and everything. Yeah,
and
that was
snatches up one of the guys, and you see him peek out of the darkness.
See his eye.
And the first time you see him, and oh my god, this creature, out of any Cyclops design, this is one of my favorite, because it looks so otherworldly.
Yeah.
This is the first one I feel like looks like a creature.
This looks more like a realistic take on what maybe a Cyclops would actually look like for us, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Whereas, like, you know, the eye is like sideways and his nose is kind of like, you know, off to the side. Like, it looks like almost kind of like a deformity almost. You know what I'm saying?
That's what Cyclopses were.
But that's what they were, yeah. So I think that the way that they designed the Cyclops in this movie was a really cool and interesting take on the way that we've seen it compared to other, you know, takes that we've seen of Cyclops monsters in, you know, film or TV from the past and everything. I thought it was really cool the way that Christopher Nolan did this.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there was just a lot. I mean, seeing any of the other monsters, or, you know, some of the other entities that are in this movie, like even just like Circe, that whole scene when they go to Circe's island was so good. That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, because the way that they portrayed magic in this was so interesting. I've never seen it portrayed in such a physical way, where she was contorting these guys, their bodies, and actually turning them into pigs with her bare hands. Like, you see her stretching the face back and digging her hand in their throat and doing all this weird shit, and you start seeing them transform, and you're seeing them lose their hair, and, you know, the skin is becoming this different texture, and you start hearing them.
Yeah, you know, she's like pulling their jaws out to make the snouts and everything like that, and all that. I think all that was all practical too. Like, they were actually in there like with like clay and everything like that, and really stretching all the stuff out. And I think the way that they showed it was like the craziest amount of body horror. That, you know what I mean? Like, it was so insane the way they did it, and it looked so painful and everything too. And I just love the way that they do that in this movie, where they show that these guys have never seen something like this before. So when they start to notice, like, you know, like you see them like eating the food, and they see the dude next to him just being like, his whole body is getting like stretched to pieces, and he's like turning into a pig right next to him, and you see like the horror in these guys' eyes, or even like that, or even like, you know, when they see their other comrade getting snatched up by this Cyclops, and they're just looking at it, this guy just being eaten alive,
got his
and everything.
head bit off.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, there are so many parts of this movie that I think that like were so cool when they did stuff like that. You know what I mean? And even when they see those big, I didn't even know what the hell they were, honestly. Like those big men in armor when they go to the island.
Oh yeah, the giants of I forgot what they're called. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Bro, like they immediately when they see, they're like, bro, go back to the boats, go back to the boats.
Run.
Like, they start running like crazy. You know what I'm saying? And you see like the amount of damage those guys could do to their boats and everything. Dude. Like, they're pretty much like tearing the boat apart. You know what I mean? And I love that these guys who think like, bro, we just came from Troy, bro. We're gonna mess everything up. You know what I mean? And they end up becoming the men from the sea that, you know, everyone in Ithaca is scared of and everything. And it's like they think that they're so much larger than life until they actually start seeing
some of
the stuff that's on these islands and other stuff that are in this world, that they're like, oh my god, like we're so small compared to everything else here.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was really cool, you know, just getting to see a lot of the mythical creatures in Greek mythology. You know what I mean? Like Charybdis, that's like one of the ones I was like really excited for, you know, because they added it in Percy Jackson, the second movie, and, you know, other projects, and I always thought that was one of the most interesting ones. And they didn't really show it in this, which was interesting. You really just seen the whirlpool. You didn't see the teeth. So I thought that was a little bit weird. You know, it's a little bit of a nitpick, but I still liked that they added it. And then They added that other one I never heard
That
of.
was
It was,
snatching
it
them
was
out of the
called
boat
like
stuff?
I don't even know how to pronounce it, bro. But yeah, that one is like the six-headed dragon
Yeah,
thing.
that was insane.
You know what I mean? And it was just snatching them up, and then you just see it go back into its little burrow.
Yeah.
That was so interesting.
That one was the weirdest one to me because that was the one that was like obviously like super CGI compared to everything else.
Yeah.
So that's the only one that was kind of like,
Yeah.
it was a little bit weird. You know what I mean? One of the ones that was like really interesting to me, and I was like, oh my god, I love the way they did the scene. Was
The sirens.
Oh my god.
No, I thought that scene was so good, bro. I'm not even kidding. I really enjoyed that, how he was just like, all right, bro, we're going to get through. Like, we'll just put wax in our ears.
But he wanted to hear it.
Yeah, bro. That was so weird.
That was so crazy. I think that was also the start of his like
His descent.
his madness,
Yeah,
damn near when you hear
definitely.
the sirens and everything. Cause
Definitely.
like, bro, it made me want to wonder like, bro, what does that song sound like?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
You know what I'm
that is
saying?
that is super interesting
And
because
the
like
way
you see
they
the guy.
explained it, it's like they're saying everything that you want and that you need, and then like, bro, the way they explained what the sirens sound like
Yeah.
was so insane,
Interesting,
bro.
yeah.
Like,
It's like a spell that they
Yeah.
enchant on you through their music, and I like that. That's what I mean. It's that fantasy element of like all of this is in the same world as these guys, who anytime they go to sea, it's you don't know what you're dealing
Yeah.
with. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because
definitely.
there are gods, monsters, and men. And I loved this, the concept of how much they play into that, where they show that hierarchy, where it's like, bro, we can go and, you know, freaking storm the Spartans and do whatever, you know what I mean, and go crazy. And we can go and kill these guys. But then we try to go to this other place
yeah,
where there's giants, where there's a Cyclops, where there's this, you know, and me personally, I wish we got to see more.
yeah.
That was one of my few other nitpicks is I wish we got to see more creatures.
Of the
you
monsters
know?
and stuff?
Yeah, so I just think that was a really good idea to add it as much as they did, but they didn't do too much.
Yeah. See, that's the reason I get what you're saying. When I got done watching this movie, I was kind of like, man, I wish they would have had like maybe a fight scene when they fight the giants with in armor and all this
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. But it made sense to me the way they did it, where it was like, bro, these guys wouldn't stand a chance.
Nope.
So it's like, you know, this isn't Brad Pitt where you could go like, you know what I mean, solo up against this like crazy guy who's like twice his size or something like that.
Yeah.
Achilles,
It's not
you know what I'm
Achilles,
saying? Like,
yeah.
So like it made sense that these guys are like, bro, like it doesn't matter. We have 3 boats full of men. Bro.
Yeah.
These guys are gonna handle us.
Let's get outta
crazy.
here.
Let's get the hell out of here. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It made it more like scary to
They're
me.
way
I
more
would
of a
like Christopher
threat.
Nolan needs to make a horror movie at this point, bro.
Oh, he
'cause
definitely does.
There are so many scenes in this movie that were actually terrifying, bro. Like
Yeah.
like you said, the
Cyclops
Cyclops was so terrifying, bro. Cersei was so terrifying in this movie.
yeah.
Even seeing Matt Damon react to the sounds of the sirens was so terrifying to me.
Yes,
Like
yes.
there are so many parts of this movie that I'm like, Christopher Nolan, bro, please make a scary movie at this
Yeah,
point, bro, because
yeah.
I know you embody it like crazy, dude. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I do get what you're saying. Like I wish they did show more of like the magical creatures and monsters and all this stuff. That would have been very, very dope. But I do think that the story of this guy trying to return home and seeing all the bad stuff he did on his travels and like was it even worth it in the end type of thing. You know what I mean?
And I just wanted to say one thing before, you know, we even get out of here. We kind of already said it a little bit, but like, dude, a lot of the set designs, oh my God. I mean, even just seeing the Trojan horse, that was one
Dude.
thing for me that was like a strange, like, this is so visually pleasing.
I'm gonna lie, I think it looked better than the one in Troy.
Oh, yeah, bro,
And it
1,000
made more
times
sense.
better.
It made more sense to me too.
Yeah,
also in this
definitely, bro. I'm not going to lie. I think so too.
Because to me, the whole thing with like the horse, the Trojan horse, was it's supposed to be as like a gift, and not that the one in Troy looked ugly, because it did definitely look ugly compared to this one, but like the one in Troy, I think even if I was a soldier, I'd be like, we gotta look what's inside there, bro.
Yup.
Like, this doesn't look right.
Nah.
Whereas in this one, even though they did stab it to make sure no one was inside of it,
Yeah.
like if I would have seen that the Odyssey horse, I would have never thought that there was someone inside there.
Me neither.
And they had to drag it for hella long. You know, what I mean, they had
Yeah.
the thing where like, you know, men were in there drowning,
Drown-
they were shitting and
I was
pissing
gonna
all over
say
each other. All this
that
stuff.
was
Like,
one element I
love that.
really loved
That was
because I
dope.
never thought about that. Where I was like, okay, so all these guys were waiting in there for weeks, really,
hella long.
really.
Yeah.
So I was like, so wait, okay, if they did this by a beach, I always thought this in my life. I was like,
Yeah.
so nobody drowned or anything.
You know what I mean?
I was so glad Christopher Nolan freaking showed that, bro. It just personifying all that, and I really just enjoyed that whole sequence of the Battle of Troy. That was so dope,
That was
and
dope.
even just the whole part of how they tricked, you know, Ellen Page's character.
Yeah, that was crazy. yeah.
I thought that was really interesting of like how they didn't tell, you feel me,
Their own soldiers.
Simon anything.
Yeah,
right?
they didn't even tell their own soldiers.
They didn't tell their own soldiers. So I thought that was really interesting, of kind of like on some Genghis Khan. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard of how he when he died, how he buried himself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's super interesting of how they just went about it, and they showed when they jumped out and they started going crazy. And I just want to say one thing. That dude Agamemnon has so much aura, bro. When he came through the gate
that was so
and everybody's running past him and stuff, bro, all the scenes with this guy.
Bro, this movie was full of just like great aura farming moments. Bro.
Yes,
I'm not gonna lie
100%.
to you, bro. There's so many dope scenes in this movie, bro. Like the scene where Odysseus strings that fucking bow
at the end,
and he plays that thing
at the end, bro. No, Mike, I just wanted to say that was damn near my last point. You can go ahead.
Actual goosebumps,
Mike,
for reals.
real
Real
goosebumps. I'm not even kidding.
On my body.
When I say people say that the old hero storytelling is dead, when I seen this, I said Christopher Nolan still got a little bit of that in the tank.
Definitely.
Bro, because that was perfect. Like, the setup was so good of he came through pretending to be a beggar. She started talking to him. She kind of was feeling the beggar a little bit. Like, you know what, he's kind of cool. Whatever Utubi said, he fought with Odysseus in the war and yada yada. That was cool. Then he shows up. She goes, you know what, bro? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to get married. Spoilers for anybody. And then she's like, bro, whoever can complete my challenge, I will marry them.
Yeah.
None of them can even pull his bow back.
No one can string it.
Nobody can even string it. Odysseus goes, I want to give it a try. Everybody starts laughing at him. That was such a goated scene, bro. That was some real classic hero shit. And then I liked that immediately when everybody seen him go,
they all knew.
They all got quiet. And then they seen him shoot it through. Everybody said, Odysseus!
Yep.
And they all started running. He started,
That was crazy.
That was goated.
Yeah, that was such a dope scene. And even like a character in that scene that I loved, because it just shows how his character was like such a coward throughout the whole movie. Robert Pattinson's character.
Oh, I loved it.
Even in the fight, because, you know, his whole thing was like, you know, his brother is Ellen Page's character. And like, you know, he tries to take his place. He tries to switch with him so he could go to Troy with Odysseus. Yeah. And in the end, you know, they end up taking Ellen Page's character and they leave him behind. And even during that fight, like the entire time, he doesn't really fight. He's yelling at his like homies, like, go get the spears, go get the swords, go get the shields, all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's hiding the whole time. Yeah. And like, yeah, dude, just the way that they did this movie, and like even like, you know, going back a little bit to the Battle of Troy, actually showing all the soldiers coming in and them just going crazy on Troy and everything was like such a dope scene, bro. And like, I would love to see a movie based off of what's brother's name, Agamemnon. I would love to see a movie just based off of, bro. Just his aura alone is so insane,
crazy.
bro.
Yeah. I mean, so I'll just say this. Overall, I really thought that Odyssey was a pretty interesting watch, to be honest with you. And I would just say for me, it was a boring good time.
See, that's crazy. You think it was boring, bro?
Yeah,
I'm
gonna be honest
the entire time.
Yeah, that's interesting, bro. I personally think that it was like it just dragged on, bro. There were certain things that I just felt like, because dude, I mean, you've even said certain things dragged on about other movies. I'm surprised that are way shorter. Yeah, way more like, you know, there's not as much long. Winded conversations. I get what you're saying. So that's why I just feel like, to me, bro, it was just that. But
there are different. There are definitely certain scenes that I'm like, all right, bro, stop eating the lotus flowers.
You feel me? Come on, let's go.
I get what you're saying.
You feel what I'm
saying? But like, or even like, you know, with Tom Holland, it's like, bro, go try to look for your dad already, bro. Get the hell out of here. I get what you're saying, because like, even I would say, even like, I think Tom Holland's journey was way too short for me.
Come on, Mike.
I wish they would have made it a little bit longer. Him, you know, they could have showed him fight a couple.
Stretch out his journey, and then I'm gonna be honest, some of the extra stuff that they were kind of adding with some other characters, I was like, you can shorten that even a little bit more.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, and look, I'll just say a couple highlights. I really thought that I forgot the actor's name. Man, I think he's a Dominican actor, or he's Puerto Rican.
Talking about Blind Bro?
Yes.
Yeah, what's his name?
Sid
the Sloth.
He did such a good job in this movie. I think he did a really good job. Tom Holland did a really good job. I think Robert Pattinson did a really good job. Anne Hathaway did a good job.
Bro, I think
Matt Damon. I think majority of the cast did exactly.
Cast
I was gonna say, I think majority of the cast did exactly what they needed to do. Even the people that everybody was talking shit about, I think that they did a really good job for what the role was. Zendaya was good. Ellen Page was good.
Lupita Nyong'o was really good in this movie.
You feel me? Can I tell you the truth? Can I even tell you the truth? I think even with Lupita Nyong'o, I can't even really have an opinion because her character was in there for such a short time.
Yeah, there's
so
so
I can't
many
even say if she
characters-
did good or not.
Even like Ellen Page wasn't in that movie for that long.
Yeah,
But she has a lot. Of
but
good
I'll
scenes.
say no. That scene with the whole when they brought
the dead
they
and stuff like that?
revived
Yeah,
the
that was
dead or
crazy.
brought them back for a second. That was interesting.
Yeah, that
as
was
shit.
wild as hell.
I like how they
Dope.
perceive
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Because
you
you
know?
would think it's like bones and skeleton, but they
Yeah,
all just
yeah.
like dirty, like
You
they're
know?
buried damn near. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Shout out to Harrison Morgan.
Yeah, that was crazy.
You know,
I didn't
that blew
realize
my
was
mind.
in
That
scene.
Dexter's dad was basically death.
Yeah,
in
was
that
tight as
scene.
hell.
That was actually crazy.
That was tight as hell. But
Yeah.
I really did enjoy this movie, bro. I really did
Yeah.
love this movie. If I was to rank it, I'll probably give it like a 9 out of 10 if I'm being honest. with
Yeah?
you. I don't know if that's crazy or whatever, but this movie was really fun. From
Start to
every
finish.
2 hour and 55 minutes of this movie, I was locked in, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel it.
There were scenes where like sometimes I was kind of like, okay, let's stop talking, whatever. But for the most part, bro, this movie literally like there's most of the movie out of like, okay, let me sit up because I really had to like watch
See what's going on.
right now. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like
yeah.
when the Cyclops pulled up,
Oh, I locked in.
sat up. You
I
know what
locked in.
I locked in. There's certain moments in this movie where like I really had to sit up and lock in, bro. And,
100%.
like, damn, bro, I really want more movies like this, bro. To be honest with you.
Me too, definitely. So, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let us know if you guys liked the movie, you didn't like it. We're a bunch of idiots who are just going along with whatever Chris Nolan puts out. So let us know in the comments, and we will catch you guys on the next one. See you guys.